everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. I'll be leaving timestamps down below so you can skip ahead to the start of class, but I will be sharing announcements as well as supplies, so make sure to stick around for that. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hello! Welcome back everyone to another watercolor class. I apologize for the delay in timing. I had a doctor appointment earlier this morning, and an hour appointment turned into like a 3.5-hour appointment, which I was not ready for in the schedule. But I appreciate all your guys' patience. We're gonna head and go over supplies and just be able to relax and create today. So I hope you have all your stuff ready to paint. I gave you an extra hour to get all your stuff ready, you know? It's just, we're here now, okay? So this is what we were painting today. We're painting a pretty watercolor ornament. And yeah, I'm just excited to do this. So if you want to do, if you would like to do, let's see, what am I trying to say? If you want to do cards, and you have the 8.5 by 5.5 multimedia book like I do, you can literally just cut these in half and glue them straight onto your cards. It's like the perfect size. It fits perfectly. So that is definitely a plus side of having the sketchbook. But obviously, if you don't have that, you can pre-cut your cards to whatever card size you need and then paint on that. I do recommend cutting it before you paint on it if you have troubles with keeping your lines straight or anything like that, so you don't ruin your painting. However, if you're fine on that and you're not so good at getting things in the middle, then maybe wait until after you're done painting and then you can cut around it and make a perfect, make it perfectly aligned. So depending on where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, you can kind of tailor that to you, okay? So let's go ahead and go over some supplies and we'll jump right in, okay? I do have a traceable for anyone who would like one. This is available to all patrons in my Patreon. I will go ahead and post a link for you right now. You do not have to have this traceable. Obviously, it's just for people who, sometimes when you have a blank canvas, it can be hard to start painting, and this is for those people. Or if you just need a little bit of guidance. So I would recommend that if you're not using a traceable, I would recommend at least getting down the circle. So find something around you that is fairly round, like maybe a thing of water, or a sponge, or maybe I'm sure we all have our tape around. You can use the inner circle or the outer circle, depending on how big you want your ornament. I would suggest some type of outline for this, just so that you can make sure that it is round. Whatever you choose to do, make sure that you do it in pencil, so that you can gently erase your lines. Especially if you're going to be doing a lighter color, such as your pinks or golds or anything like that. If you are changing the color of the ornament, if it's going to be a lighter color, make sure that you barely have any pencil on there, because you're not going to want to see the pencil through the watercolor. Now, I used a fairly dark color in comparison to most, so you can't really see any lines on this, but I did still make sure that they were very light pencil marks so that you kind of, you know, you're not seeing it through the ornament, okay, through the watercolor. So yes, I do have this available in my Patreon for all tiers. So if you're not a patron, you can go grab that. You'll also get access to literally any traceable that I've ever posted in my Patreon. So all my past live classes. So if you've seen any of those and you want traceables for those, I have those available. Those are all available in my Patreon under the same tier. Once you're a patron, you get access to everything within that tier. Doesn't matter how long you've been a patron. As soon as you are one, you'll get access to everything within that tier. So that is available. I'll just be probably using something around me, and I'll show you what my process is for doing that. If you are using the traceable, I would recommend, I did draw everything, but I would recommend maybe the berry placements you can, but all the leaves, I would recommend not putting in the leaves unless you really need some direction. I would recommend just putting in the ornament, maybe a couple berries to get your balances correct. And then for the leaves, we can just kind of have fun with that, okay? Let's see. For your watercolors, I'm using Culture Hustle, but any watercolor thing will do. You don't need to buy extra specific watercolors. These are pretty high quality, which I have enjoyed using, and they've lasted a really long time. I'm like nowhere near at the end of its life, but I also don't do watercolor that often. I probably do it once or twice a month. This is a watercolor kit that I got off of Amazon. I will be posting a review of these Fumui watercolor, travel size watercolor brushes soon. They're really nice to use, and I don't know, I've just been excited to use them. I'm not going to be using them today, mostly because the one I normally use is in the other room because I was painting the other day and I forgot to put it back. So that's mainly why I'm not using it today. But they have been nice to use, and they come in this really cool kit. I'm going to be putting out a review video soon. I'm almost done with it. My program that I was using to edit it kind of crashed, and then I had to like reboot it and stuff, but it's working now and I'm almost done with the video. So that'll be going out soon. But regardless, any watercolor brushes you have, feel free to use them. Again, you don't need to buy specific ones just for this class. And then for my canvas, for my paper, I just have a multimedia sketchbook that I use. It keeps it all contained. And I find that I have an easier time starting a painting knowing that I'm not going to ruin really expensive paper, because I myself still feel like I'm in the really like exploratory stage of watercolor. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm here to just teach you what I know and what I've learned over the course of the last couple years. So we're just gonna have fun, and if having expensive nice paper is a deterrent for you, then get a sketchbook, get something that is easy to take with you, or that you're not afraid of like ruining paper or anything like that. You can rip it out and cut it up and stick it on cards and all sorts of things. And I've found that I've really enjoyed having this. So I definitely recommend these. These are on my Amazon shop as well. But it comes in a 3-pack, and I use all 3 of them for different things. So I definitely use them. I'm almost done in one of the books. But yeah, so those are the materials that I'll be using. Obviously, I also have a paper towel, 2 things of water. I do recommend having 2 things of water, because one is for like clean water going directly from the cup onto your painting, and then one to rinse out stuff, because you don't want to be putting dirty water in your paints, because it does change the color. Okay. That is pretty much it. If you have any questions during the class, please let me know. Just comment down below, and I will answer them as we go. So I haven't done watercolor since I did this illustration, so all these colors are the same, but I will be going over what colors are what. I don't have like fancy names, or I don't have like normal names for all of my colors. They're all like fancy weird names. So I'll be saying what color is closest to it probably. I'm gonna go ahead, let's see, I don't want that brush, I want this brush. The brush sizes that I have today are going to be 2 different sizes of like, there's like a medium, well I have 3 sizes, I don't know which ones I'll be using. The last time I did this, I probably just used 1 size, if I'm honest, so it kind of depends on how big your ornament is. And then you can do, honestly, you can do all these small little details with just the tip of your brush if you have a nice pointed brush. Otherwise, you are allowed to use a smaller brush. So yeah, again, that's totally up to you. All right, so that is pretty much it. If you are doing cards and you want to do a background, I would wait until the very end to do a background. Just so that you can paint around everything, but I'm not going to be doing a background today. All right, if anyone has any questions, just let me know, but otherwise let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to take here's my pencil. Take a pencil, take something that's round, whatever you want, and you're going to place your circle in like the bottom half, or bottom, like the bottom 2/3, because you want space for it to go up a little bit. As you'll see, I placed mine, the first time I placed mine in the middle, and I kind of didn't have any space to continue up, and it was kind of just, there's a lot of negative space down here. So when I didn't think ahead. When you're doing this, try to put it a little bit lower so that you can have some space to do things around it as well as above it. All right, so once you get your circle done that, you're gonna wanna make sure that if it is dark, kind of like mine is, you're gonna wanna make sure to erase it a little bit. This is just a kneaded eraser, but you can use any eraser, or you can not draw it so dark in the first place. I didn't realize I was pushing so hard. But there, so you kind of can't see it anymore, but I can still see it. Again, you want it dark enough, just enough that you can see it. All right, and then you're also going to figure out where your middle is, and I'm just going to put my finger here. Figure out where like the top of it is. Just kind of draw in a little squarish. I'm going to put mine a little bit shorter than I did before. And then I'm not going to really draw anything else. That's the only thing that I'm going to draw, because everything else is going to be with just watercolor. Okay. I'll get a little bit of this out. So now you have your illustration, your drawing. And now let's go ahead and do some color mixing. Now, depending on what you want out of your colors, you can change all these colors. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a blue one like I did before. Grab some. I'm gonna do so I have 2 different blues, and then I am gonna have a green that I can kind of put in there and add to it. So I pretty much have a cobalt blue. It's kind of a medium blue color. Say it's close to royal, but a little bit lighter. And then you're going to want to have a slightly more green blue, like maybe closer to like a turquoise. just to add interest. You could do it all the same color if you wanted, but I kind of liked the different colors. And then let's see. I tend to like to mix all my colors ahead of time so I know that they'll all work with each other. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So I'm going to get almost like a sage green. So I'm going to mix some green, maybe a little bit of brown or black in there. Maybe a tiny bit of blue to kind of cool it down. Okay, I'm going to go, I think this time around I'm going to go a little bit more of a blue hue for my green. So I'm also going to let me grab a little bit of brown and black in here just to kind of cut some of that bright color. And then I have like a brighter green just to add a little bit of interest in the green as we go. We can also do a couple different layers of greens, which is kind of fun too. And then for the reds, you're gonna have like a lighter orangier red and then a dark maroon red. So I'm going to go ahead and make both of those now. So the red, the maroon red has red and like a little bit of black or brown in it. Can both create like a darker tone of red. And those are pretty much all the colors. I think I might make a one step darker color for our blue so I can get a little bit darker. So I'm mixing together blue, black, we'll do a little bit of cobalt blue too. And when you have when you're mixing colors and you have dark colors on your brush, make sure that you don't go straight back into that color, because then you're kind of gonna mix together your colors, and we don't really want that. So now I have a darker color to pull from. All right. All right, so I think all these colors work well together. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to get the inside of our we're going to get the inside of our circle and the edge wet. I'm just going to fix this part right here. I'm just going to change what this part looks like. All right, so I'm gonna grab some clean water and I'm going to place my water all in the inside of the circle. Taking care to stay in the lines. As best as I can. And then you can take your other brush that has your colors on it. Go ahead and just place it on there. I'm kind of trying to focus a little bit on where the colors are. But remember that watercolor works best if it's in layers. So I'm going to take that darker color and put it at the top. And you can come around and I'm going to put some color around here. I take some of this. I do want to make sure that I get a pretty good line on the outside. edge of this. I'm gonna go in with my green, kind of my bluish green. And then you can also drop some water. This is just some plain water. You can drop some water on some of these other places, and it'll make some cool effects. And just have fun. Try to have it in your head that you're going to do it more than once, because I think that often we're like, oh no, the first one that I do is going to be the best, and often that's not really the case at all. Often our best work is when we've done something, gotten our mistakes out of the way, and then we'll do something again, right? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put some more dark at the top. You can also rinse out your brush, and with a dry brush, pick up some of the paint and wipe it off. And you can take some of the paint off and create some white areas. These can act as reflections. I'll put one right here. I'm just going to kind of reactivate the paint a little bit by just rubbing back and forth. And then you can rub off your brush. And then you can take some of the paint off. There's really a lot that you can do. Like, I could get some of this and then some dark paint. You can touch, as long as it's still wet, you can still kind of play with it. I'm going to go ahead and put little triangles at the top. To indicate where the top will be. You can, what I like to do is wipe off my brush and then just kind of blend out. And if one of the sides maybe is too dark, you can take a clean brush, maybe come alongside maybe the left side, or kind of take some of that paint out. I have found that after using watercolor enough, it's very forgiving. Like you can't ever go back to pure white, but you're definitely not stuck with the color that you put down. And we will come back in and put in some white afterwards. Either you can have an acrylic, or you have like an acrylic white pen or some sort of white pen, or you can use the white paint. It's up to you. Okay, I'm going to fix this line. Okay, while that dries, I want to go ahead and create the gold color that's at the top using almost like a yellow ochre. But this right here is too yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to grab some white. And I'm going to grab a touch of brown. Maybe a touch of black. This kind of tones it down, it grays it out. It makes it a little bit more gold-like. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on here. Now I'm just putting like a first coat. I'm going to come back over it and put more more detail on it. All right, so this is the part where you can, if you feel like you need to, you can switch to a smaller brush, but go ahead and put in the little circle hoop thing. I did first is I put two little lines. And then I did like a half circle around it. And then I'm just going to do little dots. I'm just placing my brush down. And that'll dry. Alright, so at this point we have to wait till both of these dry to put any more details on them. So while that dries, we're going to go ahead and move on to our greenery. Now the first thing I'm going to do is get some of my cooler green. And we're going to put in some light colors. Now, for this, let me go ahead and we can practice a little bit before we do this. Before we, paint on our masterpiece. What you're going to do is you're going to start off by putting in your little stem. And I'm just using the very tip of my brush so it gets a nice thin line. And then if you have enough paint in your in the body of your brush, you can do all of these with one stroke. There's a couple different ways. You can start at the bottom of the leaf. You're going to place down your brush. It's going to widen. And then you're going to pull up as you keep moving out. And it's going to go to the tip. Now you can move all this back to the bottom. That's what I would recommend. The other option is you can pull from the tip in. Both work. Both are completely fine. It is completely up to you how you would prefer it. You can always come back in and add more what am I trying to say? More color if you need it. But for the first go at this, I want to do very thin, light colors. So practice on another sheet of paper. Figure out which version you like to do best. Figure out how to do it all, right? We're going to do a couple of these, and then over top that, once it's dry, we'll put in a couple more, okay? So I'm going to move this back. And over here, in case you're wondering, I grabbed some of this main green and then I just added a little bit of water to it so that it's the same green. It's just a little bit diluted so it comes across as a little bit lighter. Because whatever color you have, it's going to mix with the white paper and be bright. So this one just has less pigment in it, which means it's going to be lighter on the page. And this doesn't need to be a fast process, so feel free to take as long as you need. You could probably tell that even in just the slight differences between my reference and the one I'm painting now is that the other one was definitely, I did not take as much time with it, and you can kind of see that it almost looks rushed as comparison to this one. So don't feel like you need to rush. Alright, I'm going to do a couple more light strands. So most of these leaves can be done with a run stroke, but if you need to go over it a couple more times with, you know, a little bit more pigment, that's totally fine too. But part of this is, you know, just practicing being a little bit more whimsical, you know. The other one I'm going to put right here. All right. So while that's drying, making sure that all of that greenery is dry, we're going to go ahead and finish this top over here. So I'm just going to take some of the same color, maybe with a tiny bit more brown in it, so it's a little bit darker. And I'm going to give some shadow to it. And if it's ever too much, rinse off your brush, and you can grab a little bit and you can blend it in. With what's already there. You can put some shadow underneath the top with some blue. Then after that's completely dry, we'll go ahead and put some blue in the little like crevices. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some black. And I'm going to put a little bit of detail on the top part of it. Because gold tends to have dark shadows. Putting a little bit of shadow on the edge of it all. All right. I'm going to put in the little creases if you so desire. You do need to make sure, mine was already pretty much dry, you do need to make sure that it is dry or else it'll bleed into the yellow and the gold that you're already using. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take the straight green, so no adding water this time. Now that you've got enough practice, I'm gonna go ahead and put in some more. And I'm going straight over the other the light colored ones. And I'm just adding pigment to make it darker. Okay. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in some of these red leaves. I'm gonna put one, let's see. Put one over here. I'm just going to put the outline at first, and then I'm going to kind of draw in the middle part because I want to leave that, I want to leave it white. And then I'm going to be very careful to go around the ornament. And then I'm going to take some of this darker red and I'm going to blotch it. So I'm just going to touch the top part of it and it's going to deposit that that dark color into what's wet. I'm going to rinse off my brush, wipe it off. I'm going to take some of the red part off of this bottom. I feel like it's a little bit too dark. And then I'm going to do the same two things over here. I'm going to start with the top one first, and then I'm going to have to let that dry. So first I'm going to do this top one. Again, starting with the outside edge. And then I'm going to go up the middle. I'm going to fill it in. It's okay if not all of it is, there's like little streaks of white, that's okay. I come back in. I'm going to deposit some of this dark red, mostly here at the top. This one's a little bit darker. I'm going to rinse out my brush. I'm going to kind of blend this just a little bit. I'm going to take my clean brush and kind of take some of that color off this part. I'm going to put a little bit of red, like a redder red, less of a burgundy on this top part here, just to kind of brighten up the color. Okay, I'm going to let that dry while I work on all of these berries. What we're going to do for the berries, we are going to intentionally leave out the white parts. Now this is actually a very fun thing to do because we're going to kind of choose where our berries are by all of these little white specks that are like through, you can see through all of these leaves. You're going to choose that as the highlight of your berry. So let me explain. So let's say I want to put berries up here. I'm going to choose, let's say right there is a little white spot. So I'm going to choose to place my berry around that spot and keep that little white spot as the reflection on my berry. So for instance, I'm going to, I don't know if you can actually see me do this. I'm going to do a little circle, and then I'm just going to keep a little piece of that white as my berry. And it'll make sense a little more as you go along. I am going to make a little bit more red. And then let's see, I'm going to do another one over here. Do a circle pretty much around that white, and then I'm just going to use that white as part of the berry. And if you can still see the green through the red, just grab a little bit more paint and just deposit it into that area, and it'll darken. I'll put a couple more over here. I'm going to put a couple more down here. These can kind of be anywhere because you're not trying to go around the you're not trying to go around anything. I'm going to go over to the other side. I'm not going to even worry about the the stems yet. I'm going to wait until it all dries. So again, I'm making sure that wherever I place my berry, it's over a white sectioned part of it so that I can give it a highlight, a natural highlight. I'm being very thick, I'm being fairly thick with the paint. All right, now we're going to go back to the top ones up here and go ahead and give them some stems. And just like before, we're going to make that thick. And if at any point you feel like there needs to be one more, you can always create another one. To fit in any space. I'm just going to connect them all to go behind the ornament. Alright, so you got your berries. And then I'm going to put a second one down here. I'm going to fill it in just like normal. This time I'm going to immediately go back in. I'm going to take out the right side. I'm going to put some black as some shadowing. And go ahead and just drop that in. I'm going to go ahead and get the left side of the top one wet so that I can do a little bit of depositing and just put in some of these dark colors. You can also just take a clean brush and get it wet, and then you can kind of you can take that and just blend it all together with that water. Alright, this is pretty much it. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to get whatever method you want to add your white to it. You could leave it like this. I'm going to go ahead and add some white specks on it. So I'm just using the white paint that I have. You can use an acrylic marker. Really, however you want to do that. And I have my paint pretty thick. And I'm going to put little specks of white on each of these little dots. I have a little reflection here. And then you can also add reflection anywhere else. And if you wanted to have a little more fun, you could add specks of anything, or you could add specks, you could add dots, you could add snowflakes, whatever. Really, you could go all out. But this doesn't have to be your only one. You can do it again. You can tell the difference between the one I just did and, you know, the one I actually spent time on. So that was the first one. Obviously you have it on there, but that's the first one. This is the second one. So don't get discouraged if the first time you do it, it's not what you thought it could be. Use the knowledge that you get, use the mistakes that you make in your first painting to create a second painting or a third painting or a fourth painting that you're really proud of. Like the differences in this painting versus my other one, my spacing is better because I was more aware of that. I placed it down, I had more room. Now there's like the even amount on top and bottom. I fixed some of my colors, like these were too yellow that I didn't really realize until I put it on there. I added darker, more contrast because I didn't like, after your colors dry, they tend to lighten up. So as I was going, I was like, oh, I wish I would have gotten darker. I wish I would have been a little bit more bold going darker, because sometimes it's kind of scary adding those dark colors to it, because it's like, oh, it's so dark, but it does dry lighter than it would have if you would have not, or it dries darker than you'd think it would. So I was a little bit more bold this time. I put more blacks and more contrast. I did different greens. So don't get discouraged if the first one isn't what you think. Use that knowledge of that first painting to create more paintings and have better paintings, okay? So hopefully you learned a lot in this. If anything, it gave you the ability to put something on paper and have fun, a little bit of relaxing hour. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to sign your work or use your work on a card or anything like that. I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being adaptable in the schedule change. I do apologize for that. But some things are just out of our control and we can't help it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Next week we are doing an acrylic Christmas tree. Super excited for that. So if you like acrylic, or if you've never done acrylic, it should be a fairly easy, fun class. So I hope you'll join me. Oh, I did want to share one thing. I realized I put it away and then I didn't show you guys. Let's see. For our Christmas Cobalt class, you guys are, if you're not on my Facebook, go on my Facebook. I already posted it. But look how cute this guy is. I think it's a girl. But we're painting this in our Cobalt class. And this is just the first coat. So we covered our canvas in like a wash, and then we were able to essentially kind of watercolor it by putting on a little bit more pigment or taking off the pigment like around his nose. and around her nose. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Most of this is brown with a little bit of gray. But that is what we're doing in the Cobalt class. If you want to join from that, it's not too late. It's the beginning of the month, which is actually the best time to join Patreon because you automatically get it for a month. So I do my Patreon where you sign up anytime. You instantly get access to everything in the past, and then on the first of the month, every month, you'll get charged for that tier for that month. You can cancel anytime. So if you want to join and paint that puppy with us, I would love it if you did that. It's $20 for the whole month. You'll also get access to all of my Friday tutorials. So you'll get access to like 80 classes or something like that. Christmas gift to you for $20. So if you want to join me over there, feel free to do that. I would love it. But yeah, we will see you next week for our free class here on YouTube. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you. Bye, guys.